James chapter 1 opens with a statement that feels almost shocking, especially to anyone going through hardship, when verse 2 says, "Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds." This joy is not a denial of pain, but a recognition of purpose, for as verse 3 explains, "The testing of your faith produces perseverance." Trials are not random punishments, but purposeful processes God uses to forge unbreakable strength within our faith. Verse 4 continues this thought, urging us to let perseverance finish its work so that we may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. This reveals a profound truth. True spiritual growth often happens not in the ease of comfort, but in the difficult journey of endurance. When that journey feels confusing, James reminds us in verse 5 that if we lack wisdom, we should simply ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. This is an open invitation. God welcomes our questions and our confusion in hard seasons. However, verses 6 through 8 provide a crucial condition. We must ask in faith without doubting. James warns that a divided heart leads to instability, making one like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. This isn't because God withholds help, but because a firm trust is the very anchor that secures us in the turbulent waters of uncertainty. Verses 9 through 11 then pivot to remind both the poor and the rich that worldly circumstances are fleeting. The believer in humble circumstances should take pride in their high position in Christ, while the rich should recognize the transient nature of their wealth, which will fade away like a wildflower. This teaches us that our faith and worth are not tied to earthly status or success. Verse 12 returns to the theme of endurance with a powerful promise. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because upon standing the test, they will receive the crown of life. Importantly, verses 13 through 15 clarify a vital distinction. God tests, but he does not tempt. James is emphatic that God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. Rather, temptation arises from within, when our own unchecked desires drag us away and entice us. This progression from desire to sin, and ultimately to death, serves as a solemn warning to guard our inner world. In stark contrast, James shifts in verses 16 through 18 to remind us that every good and perfect gift comes from God, the unchanging Father of the heavenly lights. This anchors our faith in his absolute goodness, even when life feels profoundly unfair. Finally, the chapter closes with a practical exhortation on how to live out this resilient faith. James calls believers to be quick to listen, slow to speak and slow to become angry, and to not merely listen to the word, but to do what it says. He uses the analogy of a person who glances in a mirror and immediately forgets their appearance, contrasting them with the one who looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and acts on it. This is the heart of the matter. Real faith is not a passive belief, but an active, living obedience that is proven and practiced, especially under pressure. James 1 speaks powerfully to moments when we are trying to do the right thing, yet still face opposition, rejection, or misunderstanding. And verse 2 challenges us to view these moments differently, not as signs that we are failing, but as opportunities for our faith to grow deeper roots. When people criticize us for choosing integrity, honesty, or obedience, verse 3 reminds us that the testing of our faith produces perseverance, meaning resistance does not weaken faith, but refines it. Verse 5 becomes especially practical here, reminding us to ask God for wisdom, not just for escape, but for discernment, patience, and right response when emotions run high. Verses 6 through 8 caution us not to allow doubt or bitterness to divide our hearts. Because when we begin to question God's goodness instead of circumstances, instability follows. James 1 teaches us that when we are hated or misunderstood for doing what is right, our response matters, calling us to be slow to anger and quick to listen, choosing humility over retaliation. Verse 12 encourages us to endure, promising that perseverance leads to life, reminding us that obedience may cost comfort now, but brings lasting reward. This chapter invites us to trust that God is shaping us, even when others misjudge us, and to remain faithful when doing the right thing feels lonely, knowing that faithfulness under pressure is never wasted in God's eyes. Many people live out the truths of James 1 without even realizing it. We see it in the small, quiet decisions of everyday life, moments when integrity, patience, and faithfulness shine even when recognition is absent. Take, for example, an employee who chooses honesty at work. Perhaps they notice a mistake or report something others overlook, and it leads to being criticized, passed over for promotion, or even isolated from co-workers. Many would be tempted to take shortcuts or act selfishly for their own gain, but this person continues to work with integrity. They persevere not for applause, but because they trust that God is shaping their character. Over time, they realize that enduring such trials at work taught them self-control, humility, and reliability, qualities far more lasting than a temporary reward or recognition. James 1 comes alive in this life when trials are met with obedience and trust. Others reflect James 1 in their relationships. Perhaps someone forgives a spouse, friend, or family member who has wronged them repeatedly. Maybe they choose to remain kind and patient even when misunderstood, disrespected, or taken for granted. In those moments, endurance is not passive. It is an active, intentional choice to trust God's timing and remain steadfast. Over the years, those small, consistent acts of faithfulness and love build maturity in the heart, teaching lessons about compassion, humility, and the importance of peace over pride. Life is not easy, but faith is not measured in moments of comfort. It is revealed in perseverance through relational trials. There are also those who remain committed to their faith despite ridicule or mockery. Imagine a teenager or young adult in school, surrounded by friends who make fun of their devotion to God. Perhaps a colleague or neighbor scoffs at their ethical choices, or a family member doubts their spiritual convictions. Yet they continue to seek God daily, asking for wisdom, strength, and guidance. Over time, these moments of quiet faithfulness cultivate resilience, a deeper knowledge of God's presence, and an unwavering foundation. James 1 assures us that trials are not pointless. God uses them to refine our faith, teaching endurance, patience, and trust in His plan. Even in times of temptation, James 1 speaks loudly. Many people have faced moments when choosing obedience seems harder than compromise. Perhaps it's a financial temptation, a moral dilemma, or a situation at work where cutting corners seems easier than following God's principles. Those who choose righteousness, despite the difficulty, often discover later that the trial protected them from greater harm or regret. The discipline they learned in resisting small temptations builds character that carries over into other areas of life, reminding them that God's wisdom is always better than immediate gratification. James 1 is not only seen in grand, life-altering moments, but also in the daily rhythm of perseverance. Think of a single parent working multiple jobs, managing a household, and raising children while feeling exhausted and unseen. Or a student staying disciplined through long hours of study while peers party or take shortcuts. These are living testimonies of James 1, choosing endurance, faith, and integrity in the midst of pressure and challenge. It is in these small, often unnoticed acts that God's shaping hand molds steady, mature believers. The truth is, faith is not proven when life is easy. It is revealed when we carry pain, confusion, rejection, or opposition with grace, patience, and trust in God. Every trial, every moment of testing, is an opportunity for God to strengthen our faith, shape our character, and draw us closer to Him. And the beautiful thing is that we are never alone in this process. Stories of ordinary people living extraordinary faith, whether they are co-workers, neighbors, friends, or family members, encourage us to endure and remind us that our faithfulness matters, even when no one else notices. Lord, thank You for the wisdom and encouragement You give us through James chapter 1. Thank You for reminding us that trials are not meaningless and that You are at work even when life feels difficult. Help us to recognize that our moments of perseverance, whether in our work, relationships, or personal struggles, are shaping our character and deepening our faith. Give us wisdom when we are confused, strength when we feel weak, and patience when endurance